number 1. This again is for everybody. Good luck. Here we go. There's a lot of green. Looks like it's going to be a green. And it's Michael Conley, maybe? Yep, Michael Conley. All right. For the second spin, this will be the Steve Atwater. Here we go for Mr. Atwater. These are all legendary status members. Oh, it's a little glitchy. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, it's Mr. Frazier. Hey. There you go, bro. You won something. All right, let's do this. Let's cut the shit. Let's go. All right, 3, 2, 1. Yo. Awful, 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 awful basketball once again by Arkansas. 0-3 in conference play. 0-3 in conference play. Yeah, they've been here before, but that hole is dug so deep. It's dug so deep. I don't know what the hope is. Remember last year, again, they went 8-10. They still didn't do great in conference play, even when it felt like they'd kind of figured it out. Last year was different. You were missing some key pieces. Guys were fighting injuries, so on and so forth, et cetera, et cetera. I'm asking the way they have played. I brought this up yesterday, or was it Friday? I asked, who are they going to upset? Someone in the chat says, oh, I don't know, Duke. What have you seen them since Duke? What? Who are they upsetting? That's the point. Think. What have they looked like since they've played Duke? They've had one solid game against a maybe mediocre team. What do you mean? Oh, I don't know, Duke. Bro, that was then, this is now. Sometimes I don't like. I don't know, man. This team is just bad. They're bad. They're not good. I mean, I hear you. They're capable. I agree with that. But they haven't shown any signs of life. At least when they turned it around, you saw signs. They weren't getting blown out. Oklahoma, you go back to that game against Oklahoma, we know what that score was really. We've talked about that. That was an easy 20-plus point win. Arkansas just managed to take advantage when Oklahoma let their foot off the gas. Arkansas just was like, all right, well, we're going to get some mercy points, and that's what they did. Realistically, they lost that game by 15 or 20 points. Maybe worse. I don't know, man. I mean, the level of bad. I've never seen a team so unwilling to just man up on defense as a team, as a whole. I know there's some individuals. I like the way a couple of guys played. There's always a guy on the floor. There's always that guy on the floor that's giving it his all. And then everyone else just vanishes. You might get a couple of guys. Mark comes to mind. We've seen Menifeld do it. Oh, it's just bad. It's just bad all the way around. Hey, listen, appreciate you guys. That video from the intro was from the Patreon giveaway spin we did last night. I told you guys after that live show we were going to do the Patreon spin. We did it. You just make sure you're a Patreon supporter. Again, that was for the month of December. We're going to do some more spins. I've got cards and stuff to give away, so make sure you're a Patreon supporter. Now, next month, we're going to up the ante a little bit on some giveaways. So, again, you need to be a Patreon supporter this month. So, if you're going to sign up, I get it. Razorbacks your cheeks right now. Football season was a shit show. And they kept the guy responsible for the shit show, and now we're going into year 5 not really knowing what to expect. And basketball they've dug themselves in so deep, I don't know. And I realize there's playoff football on right now. You guys could all be doing something, other than listening to me rant and rave about what we've seen tonight. But I do appreciate you guys for being here, whether you're Patreon supporters or not. But I do appreciate you. Direct Service Overhead, the Garage Door Company. They work out of Central Arkansas and in Northwest Arkansas. Give them a call. Same-day services, quality parts, affordable outcomes, free estimates. All you got to do is pick up the phone. 501-244-3667. Again, that's Direct Service Overhead, the Garage Door Company. The Odd Soul Craft Bar and Pizzeria on Emma Street in Springdale. Great pies, great stuff on tap. The Odd Soul is a staple on Emma Street. They're a staple in Springdale. You ought to go find out why for yourself. So next time you're in town, because I got a feeling these basketball tickets are about to get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. So maybe you want to go catch a game. Why not go head over to Springdale, head over to Emma, and go try a pie and tell them Ty sent you. That guy, the mouthy guy over on Tuss Talk YouTube. When will Muss realize a team full of 6'6" guys ain't it? Well, I think it's so much more complicated than that. So I'm going to pull my Patreon because we suck and I can't take it, says Haas. Is Fish in here? Yeah, if you're going to threaten me, if you're going to come at me and threaten me to pull your Patreon because I'm warning you about breaking rules in Discord, then, bro, I don't want you as a supporter anyways. Like, that's some soft shit right there. That's soft. Come on, dude. And the thing is I like Fish. I know people get on Fish, and he comes in, and he can be a Debbie Downer, and he only ever says negative stuff. I actually like Fish. I do. Not because he's a Patreon supporter. He's an OG. But, man, when you come into Discord and you're just blurting out hog suck every 2 minutes, hog suck, we're bad, bro, you're going to get hit with a warning. And you're lucky you haven't been timed out sooner. And, by the way, I've had to call mods off sometimes for going too hard on folks. I guess he did catch a timeout tonight, but that wasn't for me, but you earned it. I mean, you did. You were picking fights with mods. Guys, I don't give a shit if you're a Patreon supporter or not. I don't give a shit if you're a Patreon supporter, if you're coming in there and acting that way. All right? I care about the stability of that Discord, that community. Nobody wants to come in there and just read hog suck over and over. Nobody wants that. So make no mistake about it. I appreciate that you're a Patreon supporter. I appreciate that you're a OG. I do like him. Fish is I think Fish really is a good guy. Just took it too far. But don't threaten me with pulling your Patreon. Don't threaten me. That goes too far. And if had that been anybody else, I probably just would have kicked him out. Just would have kicked him out and give him a refund on his Patreon. Fish man goes overboard. Listen, I get it, man. We're all frustrated. This is tough. What we're seeing is tough. I get it. It's brutal. And we all want to put our emotions in Discord for whatever reason. Everyone wants to go to Discord and just we suck, blah, blah, blah. Bro, text your grandma that shit. If that's all you're going to do is come in and you have nothing constructive to say, there's nothing wrong with being critical. There's nothing wrong with criticizing. The same thing for in here in chat. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? There's nothing wrong with being critical. But if all you're going to do is do that, text your granny. Text Gram or P-Pop. Text those people, all right? When you break rules, I'm going to warn you. I'm going to throw it at you. It is much deeper than the 6'6" lineup thing. I'm just saying we don't have a dude who can go up, who can go get a board when we need another possession. You're not wrong there, or a bucket inside when we got to have it. You're not wrong. Pinion did get a chance to play. Honestly, I like the kid's hustle. What more can you say, right? Like Arky 56, who's a big Pinion guy. What did he say? What did Dad say? Play Pinion more. I mean, that wouldn't have been an argument made until tonight. Pinion got 12 points. Pinion ended up with 12 points, just 2 turnovers, 1 assist, 2 rebounds, both of them defensive rebounds. He also went 4 for 4 at the free throw line. Anytime you got a guy shooting 100%, I get it was only 4 shots, but still, I mean, Graham went 2 for 4. Overall, Graham is a horrible free throw shooter. He's got to be like 55% on the year. He's atrocious. But again, this is another game. It doesn't boil down to free throw shooting. It boils down to sub 45, 42%, which you probably need to do on the road. Against a team like Florida, you've got to play better transition defense. I kind of had a feeling this would be rough, but I also thought maybe Arkansas offensively, we have seen them at times look pretty decent on the – I mean, this is Musselman's best offensive group, even though that's not saying much. We know he doesn't – offense is just not – it's just not something in his wheelhouse that it seems like he has a lot of concern of. It's defense, and I don't mind that. You see what it's done in postseason when everybody's bought in and everyone's playing at an elevated level. They're capable of going Elite Eight 2 times in a row, 3 straight Sweet 16s. But maybe he put too much of an emphasis on guards, on shooting guards or guys that could just shoot the ball, and not enough emphasis on their defensive effort, defensive play, and of course, like we mentioned before, on whether or not these guys are going to, they're going to flow together. And I don't know how you make that evaluation. How do you evaluate that? How do you know that these guys are going to all play together? And again, it goes back to what I said before. You're rolling the dice. Eventually, it was gonna bite you in the ass, and it has bit them in the ass so much. I don't know what the right combination is. My God, he played 11. I don't know how many total. What are we looking at minutes wise? Brazil, of course, got 26 minutes. Nobody got 30 minutes tonight, it doesn't look like. Pinion ends up -1 in the plus-minus, which a little bit surprising considering he started off, his first 5 minutes on the floor. He had something like, 5 or 6 points. I think he had a rebound. And, I mean, it certainly looked like his numbers were leaning towards a solid plus. Not that -1 is bad. Everybody's in the minus, though. I mean, everybody's in the minus. The only guy in the positive is Ellis, and that's because he got 3 minutes. Nobody who got more than 10 minutes ended up in the plus, which is not surprising. Leading scorer was Davenport. No, I'm sorry. It was Blocker. Blocker got the – okay, he must have – okay, yeah, it was Blocker. Oh, he ended up with 2. Okay. So Blocker got 24 minutes with 2 points. He's at 2. Denijay Harris ended up with 4 minutes. He was at 2. Cade Arbogast, everybody's hero, got 2 off his 1 minute of play. I don't know how. I guess he didn't add anything statistically, but he was under that 1 minute. Just brutal. I don't know. The thing that stands out to me, their layups were horrible. I think at one point it was like 5 of 18 on layups. They ended up 10 of 28, 14 fast break points. Kind of surprised they even had that. I mean, and this is what's crazy. Florida really is one of the bottom 6 defensive teams in the SEC, and Arkansas couldn't break 70 on these guys. I mean, we're seeing a little bit more hustle from guys, but it's not resulting into anything positive. They still struggle. I mean, the outside screens, they don't know how. I don't know what it is. It's just a lack of discipline. It's just I don't know. Arkansas ended up with 36 bench points. Meanwhile, Florida they only had 29 bench points. But good Lord, I mean they didn't miss. It didn't feel like. Let's go over Arkansas's team numbers here really quick. Again, 38% overall shooting, just 23 of 61. Not atrocious three-point shooting, but again, not great. 5 of 15, 33% there. Free throw shooting, not that this game mattered with free throws, but 17 to 25. Maybe early on, you could make the argument with Ty if they can make those shots early. If Graham could have hit those shots early, if these guys could have made some of those finishing up around the rim, finishing on off of or just scoring at all. Had they been able to pull anything down or anything drop in for them early, and including a little bit better play at the free throw line or shooting percentage wise, maybe there could have been a moment where Arkansas could have made this closer, forcing Florida to do things a little bit differently. We did see Arkansas play a little bit of zone. It looked like it was effective. Pinion looked like he was he enjoyed playing that a little bit. I mean, yeah, if anything, Pinion, I don't know that he gets any more minutes after today or not, but at this point, you're desperate. You're desperate. Pinion ends up like having a pretty good game. Blocker ended up with 14 points. Graham ended up with 10. So your leading scorers are guys you wouldn't expect, or your top 3 leading scorers are not guys you would have expected. It was just that kind of night. Nothing did fall for Arkansas. Everything fell for Florida. Florida almost, right at 49% shooting, 33 of 67, 9 of 25 outside, putting them at 36%. They're 15 of 20 at the free throw line, putting them at 70% or 75%. And they got 29 points off their bench, like we mentioned. They had no answer for really anybody, but Samuel ended up with 17 points and Kugel off the bench with 20 points. They are an offensive. They probably are one of the top 3 offenses, maybe top 2 offenses in this league, but they don't play great defense. I was really hoping this would be a better game offensively for Arkansas, just to give you something to look forward to, give you something. Okay, well, they were surprising. They kept it close. They lost 90 to 88 or something, or 86 to 90, something like that. They at least made it competitive. Early on, they looked like a team that completely let go of the rope. Nobody, you talk about lack of buy-in. It was lack of effort, lack of giving a shit. Again, we saw some guys give a little bit of effort, but I'm talking about as a team, there's no chemistry. There's just nothing with this team that gives you any reason for hope. We could sit here and talk about the individual skill level and what these guys did at other schools and how high. I mean, this was a top 5 transfer class in the country, and it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There's just nothing. I don't know. There's no answer with this team. And it is very disappointing. The expectations is hurting us the most. Final four bound, playing like the first 4 out, says Pigpen. Well, I mean, that maybe they did buy a little bit too much into their own hype and excitement. I don't know. Hire Chris Beard. Okay, Greg Davis says, I'm afraid the only thing colder than the temperatures outside during our next game will be Arkansas shooting percentage from the floor. Give Ty a like. It is hard to do these shows after a loss. It's brutal to have to sit through that. I have to. I don't have a choice. It's not fun to do that and then also have to get in people's DMs because they're taking things too far, and I've got to play daddy, because people can't just relax. But yeah, tonight was just brutal all the way around. I appreciate that, Farrell. Appreciate you, man. This team is cheeks, but I gave up on us after the Auburn loss. Just a complete waste of a season. It's hard to blame anybody. It is. It's hard to blame anybody for wanting to throw in the towel. I mean, you're looking for answers, and there just doesn't seem to be any. J-Dog says it's like everything is bad. You're not wrong. I mean, they're just, I don't know. And I really thought Minifield, wow, there's the spark. There it is. There's the spark. It's Minifield. He's the answer. Here we go. I think a lot of people felt that way. And then it just the opposite has happened. There just doesn't seem to be anything going right for these guys. And when shots don't fall, even when they're good looks, when shots don't fall, they're in just so much trouble. Around the league, A&M did hold off Kentucky. Kentucky got a little bit of help in that game, but A&M did hold off Kentucky 97-92. South Carolina went on the road and beat, you talk about another team that's struggling, Missouri, who's now 0-3 in conference. They lost to South Carolina 71-69. Tennessee went on the road and beat Georgia. Good game, it looks like. I didn't get a chance to watch much of that game, but what little I saw, it looked to be, fairly competitive. And, of course, Tennessee only won the game 85-79. Ole Miss holds off Vanderbilt 69-56. Must be nice to be Ole Miss right now. You know, I mean, they don't start off with anyone really that competitive. They're one decent game. They're one decent road game. They get just smoked, and then they get to come home to Florida and Vanderbilt. Now, Florida, I do think, is a quality team. I still don't know where to put them. I think it's real easy to look good against Arkansas at home, but I still don't know where to put them. Ole Miss did put it on them, 103-85. They beat Vanderbilt 69-56. They got to go on the road against LSU. LSU is better than I thought they were. Currently 10-5 overall. They're playing right now against Auburn. Kopetsky says A&M just beat Kentucky. A&M can rebound and is just nastier than Arkansas. I'm afraid for Muss's health. Yeah, I feel bad. I mean, I feel bad for that family. The Sarge Fishing says, what can we expect when we have a whole new team every year? We have no chemistry. Yeah, I mean, again, we talked about that. We talked about that this week. The reset you can have, I mean, this is evidence. You can have a great transfer rank, and it doesn't matter at the end of the day. It does not matter if they don't have chemistry on the floor. Why do we have such bad luck? Well, I mean, I don't know if it's luck, but it's just they're not playing well together. Woo Pig with a $5 super chat. Hey, appreciate you, Woo Pig Pod. Appreciate you, fellas. Thanks for stopping by. What happened to Khalif Battle? That's a very interesting question. I don't know what is up with Battle. That is a question that I was hoping that tonight maybe this felt like the kind of game where someone like him would come through. One of these guys who have the reputation of being great scorers, can finish at the rim, can do these things. And I mean, no points, 2 minutes of play. There's got to be something going on. -5 in the plus-minus. There's got to be something going on. Minifield ended up with -7, but he only got 3 minutes tonight. Once again, I'm sure it's the physicality. Not surprising. Oh, just kind of one thing after another, you know. What's up, Jumpmaster Scott? How you doing, man? Johnny Dobro says, I have A&M tickets Tuesday night. Anybody interested? I think you're going to see a lot of that. Everyone should support this content. Hey, I appreciate you, Woo Pig Pod. You guys are awesome. I appreciate that. Speaking of, well, you know, I know you guys, Woo Pig Pod had to go through their own thing that blew up on Twitter. I had someone come through my last live and they asked me why am I bashing an Arkansas transfer? It's like, dude, players are not above criticism. Don't get it twisted. They're not completely above criticism. I'm just gonna say that. I don't know. I don't know why we feel like they're completely now. I'm not going to go hard on them. I'm not going to go in, you know, but I'm going to call it out like we do here all the time with what we're looking at. We've talked about Brazil, talking about Battle. Like, we don't know what the hell is going on with this guy. His play when he does get minutes, he's not playing great ball. When, you know, I mean, my God, Devo, what's going on with Devo? Like, they're not above criticism, man. I mean, so just for people who are that sensitive towards, and listen, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying if you're that sensitive, then I don't know, maybe go listen to AM talk radio. I don't know. Like, this just isn't. We're gonna call out coaches and players if there's something that needs to be discussed. Then we're gonna do that. They're not above criticism. Now, I'm not going to – I have respect, okay, most of the time. You know, and I know there's players' parents who get upset. I've seen it before. But You're not above criticism. That's just the end of the world. I get it. I would be defensive over my daughters if they were, playing even just their, softball, their softball. If there was a parent, I'd be like, hey, hold up. You fronting? Let's go, bro. What are you doing? I get it. I would be defensive of my kid too. My nieces or my nephew, I'm defensive over them. Their family. I get it. But, when you reach a certain age and you're playing at a certain level, I got a job to do. I try to be respectful always. But I'm gonna ask questions like what the hell is going on? What's up with Battle? What's up with Devo? Why is Brazil? I mean, he didn't have a horrible night rebounding. He had 7 rebounds, 7 points. Not a horrible night. But where has that Duke the Brazil that we saw in the Duke game? Where's the play from this team? By the way, we talk about the team. May not be calling an individual player out, but we talk about the team. I don't know that I've ever had a parent get on to me or a family member get on to me talking about the team play. Fairly obvious. I get it. You're not singling somebody out, but where's Brazil been? Where's this team been since Purdue? There's 1,000,001 questions. I don't know that we have any answers. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take. Tercer with a super chat. Remember when several in here were saying they'd rather have Battle than Note? I do remember that. Having turnover every year work both ways. So far it's not working. Woo Pig says it was fool's gold. You might be right. You might be right, man. Our offense is park ball. We get down the court and stand still. I watched a couple of trips today where instead of making an extra pass, they take bad shot instead. I mean, that is Muss's style. I mean, again, he puts a preference on defensive play. We know offensively this is what they've kind of always been. It's like this year they're just especially pretty bad. I mean, they're bad, inconsistent. We'll see these flashes on offense where, maybe they're figuring it out. I mean, tonight of all people, Davenport ended up having a pretty damn good game. He was the leading scorer for most of this game for Arkansas. He ended up with 13 points. No boards, but 3 assists, 1 steal, 0 turnovers. That's not a bad night. And we saw a flash out of him. Tramon Mark, I mean, it was clear Florida did their homework. But he ended up with just 2 assists. Arkansas ended up with 8 assists. And who would have thought they would go on the road and not turn the ball over double digits, but they would still be minus in the assist-to-turnover ratio. They ended up again with just 8 points. 31 rebounds to Florida's 48 boards. We know they're an elite rebounding team, and they showed that tonight. 15 offensive rebounds to Arkansas's 9. Really good bench production and shooting 49%. I mean, that's, again, a game like this, free throw shooting overall really just didn't matter. It was about just live play. Blocker shot 60% at the free throw line. Not great. Davenport, 5 of 7. He got to the line. He was 2 of 3 outside. Again, 3 assists, no turnovers, and a steal. I thought he had a block in there, but I guess not. Yeah, there's so many players we could sit here and go, what the hell happened to this guy? What happened to this guy? And it's nothing new. I mean, we have seen this before in past Musselman teams. He'll change the rotation up, and you start to understand. Again, I always bring up Chris Likes because Chris Likes, not that long ago, started off hot. We all thought, man, this dude's going to be elite. He's going to be a great closer. He's going to be someone who's going to get minutes at the end of a game. He's going to get to the free throw line. He's going to drive. He's going to draw contact fouls. And then we saw his minutes just completely reduce as the season went on, and we saw how that unfolded. And so it's not unheard of that certain guys who started off really good kind of disappear. But the difference is we see someone else emerge. And that's not happening. Nobody's really emerging, not consistently. I appreciate the super chats again, Patreon supporters. I'll play that video again in case you guys missed it. We did our giveaway yesterday. If you're a winner, if you won, listen, make sure you get back to me. I need your address, PO box, whatever, so I can get the stuff shipped to you. I was hoping Muss would have built this year's team like the team ran us out of the tournament last year. Most of these guys play like they don't care to win. Obviously, they must be competitive mentally, but it doesn't show, says Steven 1383. You receive NIL money. This is coming from Greg Davis. You receive NIL money. You should be able to take respectful criticism. Yes. Hang in there, Ty. I appreciate that. Hopefully they figure it out, or we may be discussing the swimming and diving team. Water polo, baby. Track and field. Of course, the one sport we feel like Arkansas should be, they shouldn't let us down in the regular season. We feel like they're going to be fine is baseball, and unfortunately, I don't know how you steer that content unless you're just exclusively a baseball channel. It's just content. I don't know how I'm going to cover that this year. I want to. It might be a thing where maybe we do a post game on Friday nights. I don't know yet. I don't know how many people will actually come through and watch that because baseball has not been anything I've covered in great detail. I want to make that a part of what I do. Someone told me just to make a whole new channel just to cover baseball, and I don't think it would grow that well. I might as well do that content here. I'd go crazy for Razorback water polo, says Tripp. I wonder how much of this is NIL when you're already paid, so there's no need to play as hard. Tough to motivate rich teenagers. Plastic Chaser might be on to something there. I mean, that is something. I don't know how that NIL is structured. But, yeah, you got guys getting paid, and that is something that probably should be discussed more. I don't know how I would respond if I've already got a check written to me and I've already been paid. I don't know. I mean, I feel like I would still be competitive. I grew up – I'm homegrown, baby, all right? I'm organic in the state of Arkansas. I want to play for that hog. I want to play inside Bud Walton. Of course, when I was younger, it was like Barnhill. You want to go play Barnhill, and then Bud Walton comes along in the early mid-'90s, and you want to represent that arena, those fans. That's different. That's a different era. Now that's a really good point. You're already paid, so what kind of motivation is there, right? I mean, I'm not going to go all political on you, but there's a certain opinion politically about, you need something to motivate you. That's something that, you hear about it from time to time in the NFL. These guys, they sign huge contract extensions, and they don't perform like they did before those massive contract extensions or coming out of their rookie deals. It happens all the time. We haven't discussed that enough with college. And again, players are not above that type of criticism. They're just not. Not in college, man. You're just not. And I'm not trying to single anybody out with that. I think he's got a good point. It is something worth, I don't know. It's something to look into a little bit. Maybe years down the road when some of these guys, these former players, they all have their own damn podcast. Maybe they'll talk more about it. I'm kind of curious about how that, 5-6 years down the road. I mean, there's current players who have podcasts now. I would love to hear them talk about this. Like maybe they noticed a teammate once he got a big check, when he got paid, all of a sudden his play just did not match before that check and vice versa. Yeah, I appreciate that. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Ty, do you want some free tickets to game Tuesday night? The weather. Well, I appreciate that, Johnny. If they're digital, well, I don't know how they do that now. If it's digital, DM me and maybe I can give them away. No charge. I can just give them away. I don't go to games because I have this studio room, spent a lot of money on this bad boy, new insulated door, the background, getting all the studio stuff in here, the new computer. So I don't go to games because everything is here. I tried doing that when I worked for Hogville, and it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare having to drive home for football. I did anyways. I had to drive home at halftime. It was a nightmare. I love the credentials. I love the media access. But you talk about a nightmare trying to get home at halftime and sit down and watch the rest of the game. So I don't go to games for that reason. Maybe it'll be different this year, you know. I do appreciate the offer. Are they digital, Johnny? You didn't respond whether or not they're digital. Let me know if they're digital. If they are, DM me or whatever. We'll go from there. Someone already offered me tickets and I declined. I'm telling you, these tickets are about to get dirt cheap. NIL ruined college sports the way it's unregulated. And again, I agree with that. You open Pandora's box with no structure in place. I want to make this loud and clear again for anyone who maybe hasn't heard my take on this. I am fine. I am good with players getting compensated 100%. I feel like the future should be the schools setting up short-term contracts, paying these players. If they want to go out and get NIL deals, whatever, but I think it would help eliminate a lot of the issues if you could sign them to these 2-3 year deals, short-term deals, and then when they're ready, they go pro, whatever. I think that's about the only way this all works. But it's also tough because it's got to be incentive-based, right? Maybe they work that out in the deals the same way they do with coaches, incentive-based contracts. Maybe you could do that, and this will help with transfers. It'll help with opt-outs in bowl games. I'm all for it. But when you open up Pandora's box the way that they did, with no restraints, with no any kind of regulation or whatever on these on the how it all is currently structured, you see what's happening. You see what's going on at Florida State. There's other schools. We know Primetime's been accused of tampering at Colorado. I guarantee you that won't be the last time we hear of that with him. I think unregulated, and the same thing with the portal. You opened up both of these and had no real, plan in place, and it's created a nightmare. It's going to take a general manager to fix it. They're going to need a general manager. I don't know if conferences pull away from the NCAA, which I think is already kind of happening. I could go on and on this, and we're not going to dive down that deep on it. But college athletics, it's just a mess. And you talk about wild, wild west. I'm a fan of markets. I think they have helped people. They've given folks opportunities they wouldn't have had before. I mean, college sports was already doing that, and now they're doing it even more, and I'm okay with that. Absolutely, I think a player should be able to make money off of his NIL, off his name, image, and likeness. Absolutely. But again, there's just no structure in place, and it's a nightmare. So appreciate the super chat. Jumpmaster Scott says, I don't know much about basketball, but shit, I forgot where I was going with it. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate the super chat. As for the Muss conversation, I know last year is separate. And I know I've had people tell me that it's not. But it is. You can't tell me it's not. Brazil didn't play. Nick Smith mostly didn't play. Two key injuries, two key guys that could have helped build onto that chemistry as the season went on. How much of that was a disadvantage for Brazil? And now we've got him back, and I don't know that he's developed much at all. Look at the roster turnover. They are two different instances. And by the way, yeah, they went 8-10, but guess what? They still won games they had no business winning, and they made it again to the Sweet 16. The reset of the roster, it's a dice roll that hasn't worked. I don't know what kind of fix is in store for this team. I don't know where the help's coming from. I don't know where they're going to get it. I don't know. I thought we were going to get Devo like we did last year, and that's just not happened. I thought Minifield might help. Maybe we could shore up this point guard thing, and it's still just it's a rotating door of guard play, really, and especially at the point guard. Last year is separate. Now, you can make the argument that Muss's maybe the way his system, and I know some people get that twisted. I'm not talking about his offense. I'm talking about his overall system. Off season, how he deals with the off season, how he schedules everything. Maybe it just didn't mesh with these guys, and maybe that's what's going on here. Maybe they don't maybe some of these guys are not responding to his way of coaching, and maybe that's where the change is needed. And I think he's probably a pretty stubborn guy with some things for sure. None of us really know. You know it's got to be frustrating for him. You know it's frustrating for that staff, and you know it's frustrating for the players. I don't know what the answer is, but it just could really be that it's just going to be a bad year. And hopefully Muss makes the right adjustments in the offseason and better moves. And one thing I do think he does, I do think he learns from his mistakes from season to season. Maybe he didn't learn enough from last year. And again, it's different because the roster turnover was huge. It's just not worked out the way that I think. Obviously, it's not worked out the way he thought it would, but it's especially not working out the way I thought it would. Ellis brought losing vibes from Louisville. It's definitely obvious that Battle and Muss ain't gelling. I mean, these are things you can't – how the hell – I don't even know what kind of communication happens between Musselman and these players or the staff and these players. I'm not even sure. How do you know that the chemistry is going to be there? You don't know, to be fair, you don't know with the high school players either. Now, there was a little bit there because of the McDonald's All-American stuff. You had time to recruit them. They had time to kind of get to know each other. We know they were exchanging text messages. We know these kids do this. There's some kind of chemistry being formed, even off the floor, completely, not even on campus. With transfers in the portal, I think it's obviously a lot different. You're just plucking guys from all over the country. Ty, there could be NIL jealousy problem. Why this team won't come together, I don't know. Again, that's speculation. I don't know. Maybe it could be. I really wish they could have kept some cats over the years. There's several players you can look back on and go, man, I wish he would have stuck around another year. Imagine this team with another year. He thought Brazil was going to be that guy, built the team around him. Now has to redo everything because Brazil isn't getting it done, says What's the Frequency Joe. It's an interesting YouTube name. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe. Small independent YouTube channel. I'm always here for post-game shows, win or lose, ugly or pretty, whatever. I don't like the pretty loss stuff. And I just think a loss is always ugly no matter what. But feel free to subscribe, share the content. I do appreciate it. Patreon supporters, you guys, you make this a lot easier, trust me. And this is another reason a lot has changed over the years on this channel. A lot has changed, and you guys have helped make that possible. Obviously, the sponsors have as well, but you Patreon supporters, man, you help make this whole thing go. So I do appreciate you. I don't know what to expect from here on out. Like I said, baseball, I do want to cover it. I just don't know how yet, or it's tough. College baseball is tough to cover. I mean, unless you're streaming the game, which I can't do, on my YouTube channel, I can't do that. But it's really hard to grow when you're talking. It's hard to grow a baseball audience unless you're just a baseball show. That's clearly not what this is. But I do watch baseball. I'm a fan of baseball. A huge Cardinal fan. If you're a Cub fan, I won't hold it against you, like I don't hold it against 49er fans. God, I want them out of the playoffs so bad. But yeah, predictions are up in Discord. We have NFL predictions. If you guys haven't already done that, go put in your predictions for these games, for the NFL games. For the first time this year, we've got NFL predictions up. We're going to do more giveaways. Don't know how many more each month. They're probably going to be random, but just make sure. And remember, you do not have to be there. You're not going to miss out if you miss a giveaway. I make sure to get your name out there. I email you. I DM you on Patreon or Discord. I make sure you know, as best of my ability, that, hey, you won. So don't worry if you miss. Just because they're random and you miss out, don't get pissed off. You haven't missed out on anything in terms of being there. If you win, you've got time to respond. So, yeah. All right. That is it. Appreciate you guys. Again, Patreon supporters, to the viewers. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe on your way out. Odd Soul Crap Bar and Pizzeria and Direct Service Overhead. I'll be live again. I don't know what next week's going to look like. Monday, I don't know if I'm going to be able to go live on Monday or not. It may be kind of a short week. I play it kind of by ear, but just make sure you're a subscriber and you hit the notification bell. That way you're alerted as soon as I go live. I appreciate you. And I'm going to play this video for you guys again in case you missed it. The giveaway. All right? I'll see you guys next week. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Be safe. We might have some more bad weather on the way. You guys be safe. I'll see you around. Spin number 1. This again is for everybody. Good luck. Here we go. A lot of green. Looks like it's going to be a green. And it's Michael Conley, maybe? Yep, Michael Conley. All right. For the second spin, this will be the Steve Atwater. Here we go for Mr. Atwater. These are all legendary status members. Oh, it's a little glitchy. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, it's Mr. Fraser. Hey. There you go, bro. You won something.